Greetings, Arcadians, and welcome to another episode of Gaming News Weekly. With your hosts, as ever, me, Tabs, a good friend, channel buddy, lifelong tarnished, Rich. Say hello, Rich.
Hello, Rich.
Thank you for joining us again, Arcadians. If this is a return visit, if you're new to this show and channel, then just so you know what we're all about, we start off by discussing what we've been playing in the week just gone, games-wise. Then we talk you through usually 3 juiciest stories that we could find in the games industry in any given week. And then we finish off with a quick fire, everything else around the things that we couldn't really feature in any great detail. And then we salute you into the weekend, and we hope to see you again at Friday, 5 p.m. UK time the following week. So like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Ring the bell for notifications. But Rich, why don't you, my friend, tell all what we've been playing still after what must be getting on for 100 hours now or something. I don't know where we are, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it might be like in the 80s or something. But yeah, Elden Ring, still Elden Ring. Played a lot less this week. It's been quite a busy week for both me and Tabs. We've had quite a lot going on, so we've actually not been able to play quite as much. I think we've only had 1 or 2 sessions this week so far. So busy week, which just meant we haven't had to be able to play as much. But I think plan is once we've finished on here, we will be back into the world of the Tarnished and ploughing on. We think we are at a stage where we can proceed towards the final areas or the final boss, but there's something we need to do, which is something that we managed to mess up on the game. So we just want to put that right before we. It's hard to sort of say too much without giving sort of the game away of spoilers and stuff. But yeah, that's the plan basically. So hopefully, I reckon if we actually got some time on it, then a few sessions and we could have the scene away. But it's hard because we've both been busy separately, so that's meant we've not been able to get on it. So I'm guessing you're the same, Tabs.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I suppose we can say to the BArcadians, there's a beauty and a magic to Elden Ring in the fact that it doesn't hold your hand at all.
Yeah.
And there's so much you can just walk into without having the foggiest of what it's all about. But on the other side of things, if you are one of these sorts of players who, you like to take a specific moral line in your games, and if you'd like to have an ending that's, just perfect for you, you might want to use guides with Elden Ring, just because, as Rich alludes to, we've kind of been the architects of our own destruction on something, which seemingly, Rich, it just came from the result of us exploring an area to its fullest. And there wasn't a great amount of warning to say you're about to blow up your entire game. We didn't do that.
I mean, good friend of the channel, Andy, did say that there's a grace point just before we got to the thing that we did that sort of has tainted our game a little bit, which we're hoping to put right. There is a grace sign that if you rest at it, you get like a forewarning of what proceeds. But I think that suggests that every time you get to a grace point, you're going to rest every time. Well, that's not the case at all, is it? You rest really only when you need to do something. So level up, change your flasks, get more flasks, whatever that might be. So yeah, I think that was a little bit of an oversight. It would have been nice if there was some sort of signage saying beware or whatever. But nevertheless, it's done. We did it.
There's a way to fix it, so we're happy enough with that. But yeah, certainly we've added some more time. But then again, you know what? We're going to kind of explore stuff which maybe we wouldn't have, mate. So,
I mean, having said that, in order to solve what we've done, we've had to open a completely new area that we hadn't sort of planned to go to. I don't think we even realised it was an area. So in that sense, it's sort of forced our hand to explore more of the world. So yeah, I think given the challenge, I think it's been a good thing overall. And we're still just loving it.
This is it, mate. This is it. Let us know your thoughts, BArcadians, if you're playing it too, if you're thinking about buying it. But let's move us on to story number 1 this week, my friend. Ragnarok upon us? ?
Hopefully.
So, yeah. So from Eurogamer, this article is, and this is what they had to say. A member of Santa Monica Studios' development team has confirmed that yes, God of War Ragnarok is still releasing later this year. Confirmation came via animation director Bruno Velasquez after a fan pressed for an update on Twitter. Velasquez maybe actually, when asked to reassure us that the sequel will come this year 100%, Velasquez responded with a simple, "Ragnarok is coming this year." It's good news for fans after creative director Cory Barlog said in a video released on God of War's 4th anniversary that the team hasn't said a lot about the sequel because everybody is heads down hard at work. "We are perfectionists," Barlog said. Thanks, NME. "Everyone's tightening up the graphics on level 3. There is so much going on right now that I just wish that we could share it with you, but it's just not ready to be shown." So yeah, mate, I don't know entirely what to make of this. I don't know if like Santa Monica Studios have officially responded to, this chat, animation director kind of speaking for the company. Maybe shouldn't have done that. Maybe they'll be behind closed doors saying, "What have you done, Brian?" Is it Brian? Bruno. "What have you done, Bruno?" Because, there's always a chance things can slide and we don't know how far out it is. Surely there's, even at this stage, let's say it's going to come holiday this year, surely things could still go wrong, or they could still decide, let's put more polish into it. So he may have made a rob for their back with that comment, but no, it's good news, isn't it, mate? We're both heavily invested in, God of War, and specifically this Norse mythology take on it, which we know from what they've previously said that it's going to be the last of this Norse mythology, can't say it properly, Norse mythology kind of saga in the series. So it will be fantastic to see how it ends. And I don't know, mate. Hopefully there's no more Valkyries there to defeat, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
But what do you make of it all, buddy?
So obviously I'm really excited for this game. Going to definitely jump on it when it comes out rather than 18 months after it comes out or whatever it was. But yeah, I'm super excited. It's really good to hear that it's going to be coming this year. It's one that was sort of slated for this year and we were excited about that. But I think there's been a lot of talk, we know Breath of the Wild has slipped to next year, and you sort of think, is that the reason why Breath of the Wild has slipped? Because we know Ragnarok's coming this year. But yeah, super excited, and it's nice to get at least a little bit of smattering of information from it, because it has been a little bit thin on the ground. But I guess, as I've said, they're just heads down, cracking on.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, nice to see. You specifically mentioned the graphics as well. So interesting. It's going to be a stunner. Anyway, story number 2, mate. Do you want to take us away?
Absolutely. So, story number 2, Halo Infinite Season 2. And this bit of information came from GameSpot, and they had this to say. Halo Infinite seasonal narrative gets revealed alongside updates for Season 2. With days to go before the launch of Halo Infinite Season 2, 343 held a lengthy community live stream detailing some of the changes and additions coming to the game in the month ahead. The stream lasted a little over an hour and a half, but if you missed it, don't worry, we've detailed the key takeaways from the stream here. From new story details to when players can expect to play the Forge beta, here's everything revealed during the Halo Infinite community live stream. So 343 announced that it's focused on its anti-cheat software and dedicated to improving its live service games. Go on. In the live stream, the team acknowledged that ranked playlists are lacking. 343 also said it's not done tweaking the challenge and XP system. The team revealed plans for what it's calling drop pods, monthly updates that will both add content and squash bugs. Starton ensured that the campaign co-op looks promising, and 343 aims to have it released in late August alongside mission replays. He also explained that 343 means when it says Forge mode will launch in open beta. When Forge mode comes out in September, it will be a full feature set, and everything players make in the beta will carry over into the full feature. Cool. 343 is saving the full reveal for launch day. Like how Halo Reach worked, your Spartan will appear in cutscenes with everything you're wearing. The cinematic narrative events shown during the stream Steam will be a part of the serial story that's told throughout seasons to come. 343 also teased another cinematic midstream with no explanation of how it will play into the overall narrative of Halo Infinite. So yeah, plenty to be seen there, and I guess people who have got Halo Infinite are really excited for more content to come, especially with this new stuff for the multiplayer. I've not seen this, Tabs. I don't know if you saw this.
No, I've not seen it either. I've heard a few rumblings though that fans of Halo haven't been chuffed with the state of the game, the multiplayer. So I think this is.
Which is actually really interesting, because before the game came out, when they released the multiplayer, everybody was raving about it, weren't they? All the people who got the early access were saying it was amazing, so much fun to play.
They shadow dropped it, didn't they? Which was nicely timed, and it had a really good impression. I think it's just the XP system was criticised, wasn't it? And I think some of the real long-term fans, feel invested in it. There's just a number of changes, and I think they want more content as well. And it seems like Microsoft, Xbox have been a bit slow in delivering it. And I did see another article or story basically suggesting, I think, is it season 3 going to be delayed by like 6 months or something?
Oh, okay.
I think that's what it was. But basically there's a delay to the delivery of content because they want to protect the team's health, is what they said.
Oh, okay, that's
so obviously crunch culture and all that.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a difficult one because obviously that's actually really responsible, isn't it? And that's more of what we want to see from companies. But at the same time, it comes at the cost, doesn't it, of the delivery of content. So whether, you know, there's some fingers to be poked at them in terms of the management of the delivery of this content. We know the game went through development hell, didn't it, obviously, for a year or so, and then Joseph Staten, did he come on and try to turn the tide, and seemingly did. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how this is going down, the fan base, but it certainly sounds like there's a lot of changes proposed. So fingers crossed.
It does sound like it does sound like they've tried to address some of the issues that like players have had. The way that reads anyway, it suggests, you know, people aren't happy with this, we're looking to address it. You know, that's sort of the way it comes across.
Yeah, and it's going to serve them, isn't it, to really resurrect. I don't know what the, you know, what you call it, mate, concurrent players are in terms of how many people are still attached to the software, but you know, it's such a key franchise, isn't it, for Xbox and Microsoft? They need to make sure they come good on it. So I can't see them not. We just need to give them time, I suppose, don't we?
Absolutely.
Anyway, matey, let's move us on to story number 3 this week. And we just had to crowbar this in. Thanks to friend of the channel. Yeah. Friend of the channel, Ryan, had pointed this out to Rich, and I'd completely forgot I'd seen it, but it just slipped my mind. So anyway, we dropped a news piece. What did we drop, Rich? We dropped it anyway.
It's in everything else. We'll talk about everything else.
But this headline reads Ubisoft for sale? ? And comes from Games Radar. And they had this to say. A new report claims private equity firms are eyeing up an acquisition of Ubisoft. As reported by Bloomberg, talks are being held about the potential of several private equity firms acquiring Ubisoft. Talks are apparently early on, but include private equity firms like Blackstone Inc. and KKR & Co. And several current and former Ubisoft developers told Kotaku they believe the company will eventually be sold. This is according to the developers Kotaku spoke to due to the flagging stock price of Ubisoft over the last year or so. Additionally, Kotaku reports that Ubisoft has been auditing various parts of its business with several outside consultancy firms, and while this is standard practice for any business, Kotaku sources claim this is in preparation for an acquisition. When asked about a potential acquisition as recently as February 2022, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot, I forget how you pronounce it, said that the company can remain independent but will consider acquisition offers. Guillemot, I'm going to go with, indicated that no acquisition offer for Ubisoft had been made at the time, adding that we will not speculate on why people haven't made an offer. This all comes on the heels of major consolidation around the games industry over the past 2 years. The entire thing kicked off with Microsoft's blockbuster acquisition of Bethesda. Microsoft then acquired Activision Blizzard earlier this year, although the deal is yet to be reviewed and given the green light by the US government. Shortly after that, Sony acquired Bungie, as we know, having previously purchased a number of smaller studios with which it had ongoing relationships. With all these major deals happening, it's no surprise Ubisoft, one of the last major development outlets, without a significant first-party attachment, has been the subject of acquisition rumours and reports. So yes, mate, another big acquisition on the cards, maybe. And I think I'm happy to see it. I think from what we've heard, since they had these scandals, you know, old Eves and his family perhaps haven't proven categorically that they've addressed them properly from some of the bits I've seen in publications. So a change of hands, much like what we were potentially seeing with Activision, is probably a good thing to get some fresh ideas in, you know, a complete and utter upheaval of the culture. And, you know, we've moaned, haven't we, in the past about perhaps some of the Ubisoft, you know, signature game development styles. And whilst they've certainly got some bangers in their product suite, there's potentially unquestionable philosophies, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it's the one where if someone said, right, there's all these developers on the table, they'd be the last pick in football, wouldn't they? For me. You know, and I don't mean that in a harsh way. It's just in terms of their products that they, you know, that's what they're a business for. They have the worst product lineup, in my opinion, compared to all of these other people who've been bought out, Activision, Bethesda, Bungie, etc., etc. So it doesn't surprise me that, like, we're hearing they're going to get bought, because I think it would be a really good thing for Ubisoft to get some new, like, blood in there, some new management, you know, properly sort the business out, maybe get some people in there that maybe have more experience with really, really big companies, and through their acquisition from a really big, you know, people, that might happen. But something's got to change at Ubisoft, and it's a difficult one. I sort of think, why would Microsoft and Sony not have snapped these up if they were for sale? I don't know. Does that suggest there's something fundamentally wrong with the business model, the products, or something within them that suggests that they're not a going concern for Microsoft and Sony?
I mean, maybe they will, mate, but yeah, I know what you're saying. I think it's complicated, isn't it? They are Goliath, aren't they? In their scale and size, and maybe, you know, Microsoft and Sony might be looking at that and thinking the sort of scale of operation they'd need to somehow pull by the reins, and, you know, it's such a big job and a big ask, especially given the, you know, the list of acquisitions they're probably currently working on and have already, you know, completed the deals on. So might just be a bit too much because of the checkered history of Ubisoft. But yeah, absolutely, mate. I just, you know, new management who don't care about NFTs and maybe do something to address what we've heard about, you know, some kind of toxic cultures, but cultures as well that have really affected the direction of games they've produced.
Absolutely.
Because they've got some great IPs in their, you know, archives, if you like. And, you know, people have been begging for Splinter Cell, for example. And I know we got some positivity on that front, but I don't think I'm ever entirely confident in the direction Ubisoft will go with a particular game.
I think the thing is, if you look back on their history of Ubisoft, there's some outstanding games. There's been some, and like you say, they've got some great game you know, IPs. You know what I mean. You know, some, and I don't know how it's sort of got to where it is, where a lot of their games are like really just feel very generic, like it's the same game, but, you know, with an Assassin's Creed like cloak over the top of it, if that makes sense. So yeah, hopefully this could be really, really good and a fundamental change for Ubisoft that can, you know, bring them back to where they were when we used to love them.
100%. Love to see it. So much potential there. Let's not squander it, eh?
Absolutely.
But mate, wrap us up today with everything else. What we got?
Absolutely. So first up, speaking of acquisitions, failing Activision stock could mean Microsoft acquisition won't go through. Very interesting. I'm not sure whether there's some clauses in there about, stock costs or what, but very interesting nevertheless.
I wonder if it would just be cause to renegotiate the deal, because then, like you say, there might be a clause to say, yeah. But yeah, strange times. A Plague Tale Requiem will have a demo at Tribeca, but it won't be available publicly. You liked A Plague Tale,
Yeah,
didn't
I
you?
did really like it. Yeah, so I really like what we've seen of this. So hopefully we can get some shots of that, even if it's not available publicly. We can see some shots on YouTube or whatever. Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase is now slated for June, so we look forward to that.
Oh, Starfield. I'm going to be watching that one closely.
Absolutely.
And then last up, the story that was dropped, and I thought of Andy, friend of the channel, with this one because I know he's a big Overwatch fan. But there's, of course, an Overwatch 2. I think it's a beta, a true beta that's been launched. And impressions so far seem pretty good. I think in some ways it's a lot more of the same, but there's a lot of quality of life changes that I think fans have been asking for. So yeah, check it out. I think you have to be like a member of, or have a log on for, is it battle.net or whatever, to actually gain access to it. It's basically for existing players, but yeah, I enjoyed it back in the day. Anyway, mate, that'll do us for this week. We've got some Elden Ring to get playing, so BArcadians will bid you adieu, if that's the right phrase. Thank you very much for tuning in, if indeed you did. We'll hopefully see you next Friday at 5 PM UK time. And Rich, I think that's another one for the archives.
Stamp to completed.